Before we get started on this week's episode of Devon the Duke, sad news to report to you folks. It is with a heavy heart that I report the passing of the Duke of Dorchester, Pete Doherty. Pete was a mainstay in the WWE as an enhancement talent and later on as a commentator. Beloved all throughout the nation, but especially in his hometown of Boston, Massachusetts. Pete was actually an early guest on the Duke Loves Rasslin podcast, and in celebration of Pete, I will re-release the episode where he gave a fantastic interview a couple years back. So stay tuned for later in the week for that. But for now, condolences to Pete and all of his loved ones on behalf of the entire Duke Loves Rasslin fan base and also everyone who is part of the Duke Loves Rasslin family, including Devon, including Big Vito, and of course, myself. Rest in peace, Duke of Dorchester, Pete Doherty. Brothers and sisters, welcome to the 3-time award-winning audio podcast channel, Duke Loves Rasslin. We are the exclusive home of the Devon the Duke podcast featuring WWE Hall of Famer Devon Dudley. And of course, our flagship interview show, Duke Loves Rasslin. We're bringing you the informative, hilarious, and enjoyable episodes each and every week. Subscribe, like, and share with everyone you know so you don't miss a single episode. Duke Loves Rasslin. Available wherever you listen to podcasts, including Spotify. That's right. Brothers and sisters, welcome back. Welcome back to the 3-time award-winning podcast, Devon the Duke. We are a limited edition series hosted by your main man, Duke Loves Rasslin, and of course, the 5-time Hall of Famer, the YouTube sensation, the man who just pulled off something that even I didn't see coming. And we're going to get to that in a minute. Brother Devon Dudley. How's it going there, Devon?
It's going good. I'm tired. I'm exhausted, but I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm working my butt to the bone.
I'm going to tell you something right now. You got like 12 kids. You got like 15 businesses. I don't understand how you're doing all this. You're doing the podcast, you're doing the YouTube, and now you just put on what's probably the show of the year in Florida this past weekend. I can't even believe it. You took your students from your school and you put on a show, and from what I understand, it was pandemonium. They were hanging from the rafters. You literally put on the granddaddy of them all, like you. Florida ain't never seen an event like that. What the hell's going on with you, man?
But listen, I'm not Vince McMahon where I can go 93,173 people in the Pontiac Silverdome, but I did something for the venue that we performed at and we had the show at that does wrestling shows there that basically told me that they pre-sale only goes for, they get maybe 15 to 20 every time they do a show there, and they get maybe barely 100 there. So, we killed that number, and we sold out the seats in the building, and we had standing room only.
Amazing. And think about this, folks. Again, Devon Wrestling Academy there, it was the students putting on this show. Devon put the card together. You had everything. You had women's matches. Obviously, you had the men. You had LGBTQ plus folks represented. You had all the different races, black, white, Latino, you name it. It was probably the most diverse wrestling card that Florida has seen in a very long time, especially for an independent card. We'll call it that. But the attendance was through the roof, and it's because Devon Dudley knows how to put on a show. I mean, I got to give you your flowers, man. I'm very, very proud and happy for you because that wasn't an easy thing to pull off, and you knocked it out of the park.
Well, I've done shows here in Florida before, and I've had successful ones. I had one where I'd mentioned Hogan was on there, made an appearance. This is when we were doing the whole Aces and Eights thing. It was called Quest, s- Hope for a Single Mom. I thought it was absurd that these women had to go through fighting cancer, but yet losing their jobs. So what we did was we raised money to pay their bills for them, so they wouldn't have to worry about it. We paid their rent. We put groceries, in the refrigerator on the shelves, so they can feed their family and not have to worry about it. Go through the chemo, fight that fight, but yet not have to worry about not having money to do it. And we did it. When Hogan went, um, well, let me just put it to you this way. We did it the first time we raised, I believe it was 10,000. We thought that was big. Then we brought Hogan in um, as a special guest. And this again, this was all during the time of the Aces and Eights. And doing that, I had already turned and became a heel and came with Aces and Eights. And I basically was feuding with Hogan at the time, trying to take over the company, Aces and Eights, if you remember the storyline. And I just remember, I remember going through that and just being nervous because I didn't know. We had a chance to do, I think, 2,000 people in this building. And I remember doing this, putting out the flyers. We did it. I mean, we did a hell of a job promoting it, the whole nine. And when I tell you, Duke, they came in droves. They came in droves. The line wrapped around the building. Hogan, I told Hogan, I said, let me know when you get there so I can come out personally and direct you to where to park because I didn't want any confusion. It was Hulk Hogan. And I went out there and I saw him come in, him and his wife at the time. And he was like, damn, Devon. He was like, I should think about doing shows with you. This place is jam packed. And for Hogan to say that, I thought it was great. And we sold out. And the one thing I will say, and I said this before on the show, we had we had over 2,000 people and we had standing room only. What I loved about it was that Hogan sat there at the end with along with some of the other people that were on the show, and he signed every single autograph. He didn't complain. He didn't do anything. He sat there and did it. And we raised over $60,000 for the Women for Hope for a Single Mom during that time. It was an incredible thing. And we went on and did it again. But like some organizations, they fall apart and we couldn't do it anymore. So this was my opportunity and my chance to make good on this and to continue to do shows in Brevard County. And we did it, and it was a huge success.
Wow, that's a interesting piece of history there that I never knew. So you're no stranger to promoting, and as we can see here, you continue to just knock it out of the park, man. That's impressive. But here's the funny part: you didn't have Hulk Hogan this time, and outside of you, which you're one of the most accomplished wrestlers in history. You're in 5 different Hall of Fames, so you're not too shabby there. But you were running the whole show. Outside of you, there was no big draw per se. These are students. These are folks who are still trying to figure it out, work out the kinks and what have you. The fact that you were able to make a significant impression on the community, and that's the wrestling capital of the world right there, at your state. It's just amazing, man. Again, I tip my hat to you, and it's we are fulfilling the promise that we made to each other from the beginning. We were going to change the perception of the Devon Dudley brand. We were going to change how people interact with you. And the fact that folks are showing up when you're putting on a card like that with just students, I think it says a lot. I think it's just another reminder that something is working. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely. One of the things I like to say is I don't like to say nobodies because nobody's a nobody. But we had students that the fans didn't know about that basically helped pack that house. And I had a tremendous team working with me to help put this together. Um, it was one of those things where I was very proud of the students. And when I tell you they hit a home run, they hit a home run. I mean, there was a couple of little mistakes here and there, and I mean little, you know, um, that could have been corrected in their matches, but we'll go over it tomorrow at the Devon Dudley Academy. We'll watch it and critique the matches one by one and let them know what they did wrong, what they did right, and how they can improve and make it better. So that's one of the things we do there at the school. We want to make sure that everybody's getting it. And yes, we're on a high right now because of this first show, which is a great start. Our next show is August 15th in Florida again. We were going to do it at the same venue, but we figured we'd get a bigger building, which we're in the process of getting. So the new location of where the next show is going to be, August 15th, will be announced on my social media, whether it be Testify Devon or Instagram at Testify Devon and our Facebook at Testify Devon. We'll have the location and all of that um, probably within the next 2 weeks. And that we're very excited about, and
That's awesome.
we're planning on doing a lot more bigger things, and we might get some names, a couple, maybe one or two names on there to help promote it, but we don't want to take away from the students. We don't want to take away from them and their glory. So that's one of the things that I definitely want to make sure that in the Devon Dudley Academy, it's not just a name or two bringing the people in, but it's the students that are doing the hard work and actually making this pay off for them as well as the wrestling school.
Yeah, I love it, man. I really tip my hat to your entire team. Like you said, you had a great team that helped you put it together, and then obviously the actual wrestlers, the folks who went out there and put on a good show. Like you said, you got to work out the kinks. These are students, so that's expected. But the fact that they were able to be in front of a live crowd and it was capacity and it was something that they could be proud of because there was a lot of eyeballs on them. Somebody made some new fans and
Absolutely.
and somebody made a strong impression. You know what I mean? So to your students, for all of you listening right now, don't take that for granted because I'm going to tell you right now, I'm somebody that has interviewed promoters and people who have wrestling schools. I've been doing it for over 10 years now. What you saw at that event is not normal and it is not typical, especially in this day and age and in this economy. So do not take that for granted. That's what you get for being part of the Devon Wrestling Academy.
Absolutely.
So for all you folks out there, if you are aspiring wrestlers or if you're a wrestler and you want to refine some things or be in a situation where you can learn from one of the greatest of all time and get to that next level because you weren't able to thus far, you got to reach out, man. You got to reach out. You got to get plugged in, especially if this guy's going to be running shows on top of that. Oh my God. Tell them again, Devon, the best way that they can reach out and be part of your wrestling school.
Absolutely. You can go on the website at Devon Dudley Academy, www.devondudleyacademy.com, or you can give us a call at 407-790-7800. Call for more information on how to join the school, make an appointment to come down. As soon as you put your money down and do everything, we start you right away. So, we'll get you going and help you get to your dream. We'll teach you the fundamentals that it is to be a professional wrestler, as well to try to get to where you need to be. And I will not release a person or put them out there if they're going to be a representation of the school unless you're ready. So you have to put in the hard work and you have to go out there in the school and really showcase and show to me that you're worthy enough to be on this show if you're a brand new student. And we're going to work with you from day one until the day you're actually put on one of our shows to go out there and to showcase what you can do. So it's very, very important that we don't just put somebody on there that goes, okay, well, you learn this, you learn that, but you still got a lot to learn. But we'll put you on the show anyway, just so you can get that experience. No, it's like when you're in high school and you're playing football or basketball or baseball. You got to prove to the coach that you're worthy enough to be first string or even second string, to even be out there to do that. Some people say, well, how long is it going to take for me to be able to start doing shows and things like that? I said, well, that's up to you. How fast do you catch on? How do you get it? How can you prove to me that you're ready to do that? That's when you'll know if it's okay for you to go out there and to do those things.
Yeah, great point. Because there's a lot of people that will take a person's money and, for lack of a better term, they'll mess them around for a while until the person finally catches the hint and it goes away. No intention of actually building a star, or worse, they'll put somebody out there unprepared and that person ends up hurting themselves or somebody else. You put your foot down on that, though. If you're not ready, I'm not putting you out there.
No,
Simple as that, right? You tell them up front. You tell them up
because
front.
you have to be a representation of the school. And I'm not going to put people out there that doesn't know what they're doing. We start you off with chain wrestling first. We make sure you have that. Learning how to work, standing up on your feet. In other words, the arm bars, headlock takeovers, things like that. Once we know that you have that, then we move you into the ring to start learning the moves per se to put on a show. I mean, to put on a wrestling match, so to speak, the spots, things like that. We'll go over it over and over again until I know that you got it. We'll give you things to do. We'll teach you the moves and things like that. Then you can incorporate it into the spots. And then once we get the spots and all of that tied down, then we go into the psychology on how to put a match together and how it has to make sense. A has to go with B, B has to go with C, so forth and so on until you get to that one, two, three.
I love it. I love it. And that's why your students are prepared, and that's why they go on to have such fantastic careers and what have you out there. So great stuff. Great stuff there, Devon. Again, very encouraged, very happy to hear about that because it's been a long road and it's a lot of hard work. And I know every time I talk to you offline, man, if you're not at the school, you're going to the school. And if you're not going to the school, at the school, you're doing something that centers around that outside of your family commitments. And it's tremendous to see how hard you work at making sure that these students are prepared. It's deep.
Absolutely.
It's deep, man.
Absolutely. I mean,
It's
like I
deep.
said, we're not trying to be as big as WWE, NXT, or Evolve, or AEW. No, 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 no. And I even made I did a speech at the end where I said, this is not WWE, this is not TNA, and, this is not ECW. We're not doing extreme and all of that. And this is definitely not AEW. This is DDA, Devon Dudley Academy. And I got that little promo thing from Paul Heyman back when he cut the promo on TV. And for some reason, as I'm talking, something said, do the promo, do the promo that Paulie cut. And I said, F it, I just did it. And again, not knocking anything or any organization saying we're better. No, these are young students that are learning the game. We want you to know right away that this is not the big leagues yet, but yet we're hoping to get to that point. Just like, some of the wrestling schools that are notable for that, like say Booker T has a school in Houston, Texas, that he does, and he runs shows and things like that. And he does a great job in doing that. Um, we would love to be on that level to where, uh, TV stations, whether it be Access or what have you, wants to use the DDA to showcase what we can do. And we're going to try to build up to that level. Again, we're going to try to get to buildings and sell them out. We're not going to just be satisfied every time we get a big number at a venue and say, okay, we're content. We're not going to go as hard as we were. We're going to always try to create new ideas and things like that for the fans to be interested in storylines. I run the production part of it just like I did when I was doing live events for WWE. We go over everything that we need to go over. We go over entrances. We even got a production crew that basically, films it. And as they film it, we have commentators and things of that nature. Like WWE, in the very beginning of the day, they go in there, they work on the entrances. In other words, they'll make sure when the music plays, they come out and do what they're supposed to do during the entrance and all of that. We go over everything to make sure everything is going to be an A performance for these guys. So I run it just like that. No one's allowed to get on the mic or talk unless I give permission or is fee for us to give them the mic to talk for the match. And if you're not told that you can be on a mic, you will not grab the mic. You have a certain time within to have this match. Do not go over your times. Just like in WWE, because most indie shows, you'll see a match that goes 30 minutes, the first match. By the time you get to the main event, everybody's dead tired, and we don't want that. We want constant action. We want to keep the people's attention span and don't lose them. And we keep it rolling. WWE at live events, I guess it's safe to say that that's not safe to say, I know it for a fact because I ran the shows. Vince didn't like the live events going over 2 hours. And that's what we do there. We do 2 hour shows and that's it. We're not going over. And again, I'm the one keeping time. I'm the one that's in the ref's ears telling them, okay, let's go. Let's move it. Give me some action. Give me something. I'm in their ears and so they can tell the students, all right, let's go. And it works like a charm.
Yeah, it's good stuff because it allows the audience to build their evening around or daytime, depending on what time the event is, but it gives them enough room to want more. You know what
Yes.
I mean? And now you can do something afterwards too. So you can go grab dinner or you can grab drinks or whatever afterwards and feel like you got just enough, but you wish you had a little bit more, so you can't wait for the next one. That's how you build return customers. That's how you build fans. So great business, bro. I love that. Jesus, I'm all
Absolutely.
excited now.
Yeah, we had sponsors, we had all of that. We also had a streaming network where people can watch the show that wasn't able to attend, whether they were outside
Great.
of the Florida area, things like that. So, and we announced that also on the websites that we have. You can look at the show and watch it on this and YouTube, and it was really really good. There was some things production wise in terms of camera cuts and all of that I wasn't happy with, but we sat down with the production people. We talked about it and how we can make it better. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something that's going to be pretty much spotless. And I know not everything can be perfect, but we're going to try to get to that perfect part.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. I love it. I love it. You know, it's funny. You brought up Paul Heyman in his speech, and you're talking about it from the perspective of booking your own show and what have you. Something interesting happened with a friend of yours and an old comrade from those ECW years and even in WWE and TNA. I'm talking about Tommy Dreamer.
Yes.
Tommy recently parted ways with TNA, and there's been an outpouring of response from people online, especially people in the business, talking about how great of a booker Tommy is and how he did a very good job and what have you. That's their impression. So I'm going to ask you because I know Tommy comes from the same learning tree that you do. You have a unique perspective because not only were you peers with Tommy, but you have experienced Tommy's booking, especially your last match. Is Tommy Dreamer a good booker? Is he somebody that other wrestling promotions should invest in and bring in to help freshen up their product?
Absolutely. And like I said before, I remember, we mentioned uh AEW, where, to have guys that basically know what they're doing, that can help the product really grow. And I think, if Tony Khan is listening, Tommy Dreamer is definitely somebody that, that can be used in that aspect. He could be your Michael Hayes or your Pat Patterson, things like that, because Tommy's very, very good. Tommy was like a father figure to me when I first came into WWE. He lived in Yonkers at the time. I lived in New Rochelle, and Paul Heyman lived in Scarsdale. Scarsdale is the suburb of Westchester County. It's in rich and whatever, because his parents were lawyers. They had money and this and that. So what would happen is Tommy would leave Yonkers, go pick up Paulie in Scarsdale, and then come by and pick me up, and we would go up to the ECW arena or wherever we were going for the ECW shows together. And I had the opportunity to sit in the car for 5 years to learn how things were done. I was a young, very, very young boy at the time. I kept my mouth closed, my ears and eyes open, and I listened to everything that Dreamer and Paulie was doing business wise. And I learned from that, Also learned from Vince, as talent, learning some of the things. And there were times where Vince would pull me and Bubba aside and talk to us about certain things. And we learned. We learned from Pat Patterson, who was one of the all-time great minds in the WWE. So my hat goes off to each and every one of those guys. Dreamer, like I said, was a father figure to me. He picked me up. I didn't have a car. I barely had any money, but he helped me. It was me and Beulah McGillicuddy with their dog Chandler sitting in the back while Tommy drove, and Paul Heyman basically would do business in the car, whether it was talking about contracts, talking about, you know, um, whatever that was going on within the company, and even how he was getting people that, and again, we didn't know at the time that him and Vince were in bed together. But, I would hear certain things that were being said about certain people that Vince might have want to come to ECW to get more learning experience and this and that. I was there for the whole Al Snow thing. Believe it or not, I was there when Al Snow, came in. I think it was last Lance Cassidy or something like that, the new rocker.
Oh,
When he came in,
Leaf
Leave
Cassidy.
Cassidy,
Leaf
yes.
Cassidy.
I was there when he was making the arrangements for Al to come back over. I was in the car at the time, so I learned all of that. Especially from Paul Heyman. He was a genius. He really was. He was a mad scientist. He was a mad genius, and I learned from all of those guys.
That's high praise, man. That's high praise. And I'll tell you right now, I don't think there are too many people who have the perspective that you have. Because, like you said, you not only did you work with Tommy in ECW, but he was somebody who basically helped mentor you. And he's booked for you, quite frankly, all the way down to your last match in TNA.
Hmm.
So your perspective, not only as a wrestler but also as a trainer, and now as somebody who is a booker as well. You've been an agent, you're a booker, you run your own promotion and what have you as part of your school. You're overqualified to answer that question. So for everybody out there, Tommy Dreamer's on the market, man. Put your money up. That's all I'll say to
Absolutely,
that.
he's a hell of a.
Put your money up because he got the Devon stamp of approval.
I don't know, my stamp of approval
you
means
know,
anything to anybody, but again, I'm telling you, he has a great mind for this business.
that's good stuff. I'm happy to hear that because we always hear about the negative stuff. Um, it's just human nature. That's how we are. So it's good to hear something positive. It's good to hear, hey, so and so was actually very helpful, and they're very skilled at their job. There's somebody that I would say, yes, you should invest in that person. It's good to hear that. It's good to hear that, especially in a tough business like pro wrestling. You know, speaking of tough business, oh my goodness, FTR, two guys that I know that you've expressed a lot of respect and appreciation for. Nice. Can't necessarily call them a young tag team anymore. They're starting to get a little long in the tooth now. But they announced that they're going to be taking some time off and that they can see the end of their wrestling career, basically. So I don't know if this is storyline or if this is legit, but what's your take on FTR? Do you think it's too soon for those guys to be hanging up the boots, possibly, or do you feel like they've accomplished all they need to, and maybe it is time to find something else?
Well, I'm not sure if it's story driven or not. I don't know, but if it is for real, those guys seem like they have a long shelf life career. So yeah, to me, in my opinion, it would be cut short. Yes, I do have a lot of respect for those guys. them not only as an agent, but I work with them as talent as well. And I know that they are definitely two of the guys that, really represent the tag team and really do extremely well and create probably just as much as me and Bubba have. They're very skilled. They're very much students of the game, and they know exactly how to be in the um, scene. So it would be sad for me to see them leave because I feel that they have a lot more to showcase than what they've already done. They're a great group of guys. Again, I have a lot of respect for them, and I hope it's not nearing the end.
You know what? One of the biggest challenges that I think has unfortunately put them in a tough spot: social media. FTR is such a throwback tag team, and they've proven themselves to be very skilled. They're students of the game. They love pro wrestling. They love tag team wrestling, especially. Um, but I feel like social media has put them in a position where it's hard for them not to respond when they see things, and it's hard for them not to give their opinion. And I think those guys are a prime example of people who, despite their quality of work in the ring, their uh, their desire to want to respond online and actually doing so, I think has kind of made them a little disillusioned with the business a little bit, because they realize that there is so much negativity out there. It's hard to feel good about doing your job when you got fans crapping on you all the time online. You know what I mean?
To me, it's kind of like, you have to go back to the old days where you went out there and all you had to worry about was the promoter telling you whether you were doing a good job or not. And, that was it. You didn't have the fans being able to put their 2 cents in unless you wanted to write a fan letter and send it in. But social media has ruined everything, in my opinion. Social media has hurt the wrestling business in a lot of ways where we can't have surprises anymore because everybody wants to leak it. And then some of these dirt sheet writers who do that, they wonder why we're not getting what, you know, we, how do I say, we're not getting the responses that we get because how can you get those responses, when basically you're letting out the secrets of what we do? I hate it first and foremost, and I've said it millions of times on different shows as well as this show. And you know, you have to have respect for the business in some way, shape, or form. So going out there and letting out what we're doing before it happens, this is one of the reasons why Vince liked live TV because you couldn't do that. You couldn't go and let out the secrets. I was looking at something. I think it might have been the Steiner's interview. I'm not sure where they had surprises back in the day and how it was great back then because none of the fans knew prior to it happening because there was no social media to let the cat out of the bag. We were able to do things like that. Now we got to sneak people in, put them in, mask and all of that in a SUV where the windows are extremely tinted where nobody can see them, because if you don't, then whatever you have planned will be let out.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. People's desire to want to know the end of the book before they read the book is a little ridiculous. I'll be honest with you. I'm with you on this. And, full disclosure, I differ from a lot of wrestlers in the sense that there is an attitude of forget about the fans don't know what they're talking about, what have you. I differ from that as a fan because I do recognize from a business standpoint that you do have to pay attention to your consumers and you do have to satisfy your consumers. So I think that there has to be an element of that. And, the average wrestler doesn't have to necessarily think about that too hard. That's really the job of the promoter and the owner of the business to then give that direction. Hey, I want you to do more of this. I want you to do less of that because the fans are responding and the fans are not responding. So there's a whole business side of my perspective on that. But I will say this. I can't stand the dirt sheet culture, the notion that we have to know everything before it plays out. I just think it's ridiculous. And I think that the whole notion of paying a website to then give you all of the backstage before it happens secrets and all that garbage, I just think it's disgusting. I think it's disgusting. I think it ruins everything. And I think that it has hurt more than helped the wrestling business as an industry. It has absolutely hurt more than helped because you're spoiling things and you're putting people in a position where by the time it happens, they're not giving you the natural response because they knew it was going to happen.
I just feel that, they're the ones that are responsible, for letting this stuff out the bag, but yet they want to criticize the company for not being able to produce or make it interesting. You can't make it interesting if you're letting out everything already. Back in the day, we watched it, enjoyed it, and we have memories that can't be erased because we had that element of surprise in a lot of the matches that we saw growing up. Now you just don't have that anymore.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, and it takes away from it. I don't want to know the end of the movie. Listen. In cheap plug here, I belong to the A-list AMC theaters. They have something called the A-list where you pay a fee a month and you get to see up to 4 movies a week. So my lady and I, we pick out a day of the week and we do our date day. We go and see a movie, and then we'll grab lunch or what have you, do an activity. Sometimes we'll see 2 movies in a day because it's already paid for, and that's any format. I don't want to see the end of the movie. I don't want to know the ending of the movie. I want it to develop. I want to be surprised. You know what I mean? And I think that allows me to engage and care more about what I'm watching. If I knew the ending, why the hell would I watch it?
Exactly. That's like somebody saying they're reading a who did it book, and it's like, you have the butler, the maid, the husband, the wife, who killed Charlie, and then all of a sudden, they know who killed Charlie, and yet they put it out there, and then you wonder why the book isn't getting interest.
Yeah.
I don't get that at all.
You don't read a book from the last chapter and then go backwards. You don't do that. You don't start on the last page. You start on the first page. So anyway, FTR. I am a fan of their quality of work, no question about it. I haven't always agreed with the way that they present themselves online, but the more I think about it, the more I realize it's a generational issue. I'm a little older than those guys. So the social media thing, I learned how to deal with it because I was there from the very beginning. I go back to chat rooms and I go back to message boards and I go back to word processors. I was part of that last generation who had typewriters. So it doesn't impact me as much as people who are a little younger who this is all they know. And I think from an emotional standpoint, there needs to be far more training for these wrestlers on how to deal with the challenges of having constant feedback on their quality of work. Because I don't care what type of work you do, constant feedback is very difficult to manage. It's very difficult.
Yes.
Working in government, working in media, where you're always the bad guy or you're the good guy. There's never any in between. And sometimes you're getting it all at the same time. I have a little bit of a glimpse to what you guys deal with in that regard. But it's compounded because you're TV stars. That's a different world, man. That's a different world. And I feel bad for you guys in that regard, So anyway, FTR, I hope this is not the end. I know you got a lot more in the tank. Maybe you just need some time off. But come on, guys, hang in there and get the hell off that social media. That's my advice to you. Anyway, moving on here.
Absolutely. Stay off of it. It's poison.
It's poison. It's poison. You don't need it. Everybody already knows who you are. So even from a marketing standpoint, you can get a team to handle your marketing online. You personally just stay off of it. Move on from that. Moving on here, the King and Queen of the Ring finals, they're locked in. for Night of Champions, which is next week. The brackets are Jey Uso versus Oba Femi to figure out who's going to be the 2026 King of the Ring. And then on the women's side, you have Io Sky. She's going to be going up against the women's world champion, Liv Morgan, which is very strange to see who's queen of the ring. So, what do you think about those two finalists there? Those matches you got Jay versus Oba, and then you have Io versus Liv. What do you think of that?
Well, I'm looking forward to Oba. I really would like to see how they do that match. With Oba being as big as he is, coming off of Brock, and how does a guy like Jay conquer that beast? It's like David and Goliath, really. That's what we're looking at. So I'm really looking forward to that. The EO I've seen times. I am a huge fan of hers. I think she is phenomenal. Just her charisma alone and the stuff that she does is incredible. I couldn't do half the stuff that she does. I couldn't do a quarter of it, let alone half.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing that match and to seeing how that develops with her. But I'm confused. I thought the King of the Ring, you get crowned the King of the Ring or the Queen of the Ring, but then the winner of that, isn't that the next step in going for the title?
Yeah, that's what it's supposed to be. So I don't know what's going to happen. It hasn't been made clear if Io versus Liv is a title match or not. I don't think it will be. So I think that even if Io defeats Liv, she'll then get a shot at Liv after that. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens there. But I'm going to tell you right now, and Devon, you have to forgive me for telling your business. I have to do it though, so please don't hold this against me. Oba, you got to understand that not only is Devon a Hall of Famer, a 5-time Hall of Famer, he also is a person that has a WWE Legends contract, as we know. He also was in the video game, as we know. The Dudley Boys merchandise is sold out and all that good stuff there and has made big waves. So we know that Devon's influence is pretty great. And with his wrestling school and he's promoting, Devon Dudley is the ultimate pro wrestling insider and mover and shaker. So what Devon did is that he got one of his proteges in Jey Uso. Devon pulled all his strings. He did all his politicking, and he essentially sent Jey Uso in to, take a piece out of Oba Femi to make it easier for when Devon finally steps in that ring with Oba. So, Oba, I'm just giving you a warning. The Jey Uso thing is not something that happened naturally. This is Devon Dudley being the chess master and arranging the pieces on the board to put you in a position where you're going to have to not only deal with Jay, but you got to deal with the whole bloodline. That's Devon Dudley 100% playing his games, okay? Because he has the X on you, Oba. Devon Dudley is sick and tired of everyone doing the Oba walk, and he's sick and tired of the Oba. Devon Dudley is sick and tired of you getting all this shine because in Devon Dudley's opinion, nobody is greater than the Reverend Devon. Okay? So, here's what's going to happen. Jey Uso's going to do his thing. He's going to try to take you out, Oba, so you got to be prepared for that. But don't turn your back. Always keep an extra eye out because you never know when the man from Dudleyville is going to slide in that ring and get the table. Okay? So and here's a clue. The Usos do the 1D. That is a tribute to Devon and Bubba. So when I tell you that this is an inside job, this is a hit job, brother. This is a hit job. Devon then went and found his best assassin to come take you out. And I hope that Ref Jess is not refereeing that match because then it's a double hit job. So, Oba, I gave you the inside scoop on what to look out for. I just snitched on my brother. So now you know what's up. Okay, Devon, do you have anything to add to that?
Are you done? I'm just curious. If there's any more, excuse me while I clear my throat. If there's any more that you have to say, please let it all out. Let me know when you're done, because then I'll be glad to retort. So please go ahead.
Listen, I snitched. I just sang like a bird. I'm a stool pigeon. I just sang like a bird. I need to go into witness protection now.
Okay, here's what I think. I think maybe Cody Rhodes and Wemby got to you
Oh,
and hit you in the damn head, because right now everything that you just said ain't true. That's one. Number two, I can't wait for Cody to get his hands on you. I can't wait. I want to be there like TMZ with a camera when you come out of work or come out of your home and Cody's right there waiting for your ass. And when he does, I want to sit there with popcorn, extra butter, and I just want to sit back with my cushiony chair and watch the massacre that's going to take place when Oba and Wemby get their hands on you. So again, I know nothing of you speaking about Jey being an assassin for me. Yes, he's using the 1D that me and Bubba created, which was 3D, and they've made it into their own. That's great. But there's no way in hell you're going to sit there and put me in the light that I'm going to set up Jey Uso to go after Oba. Listen, as far as I'm concerned, you are the biggest shit talker since Michael Jordan and Larry Bird. That's all I'm going to say on that.
oh my God.
Michael was a genius at it, and Larry Bird, like a lot of the brothers in the NBA say, he was the baddest white boy to ever play the game of basketball, which I believe is true. But again, he was also the greatest shit talker of all time. But the thing about Larry was Larry could back it up, and so could Michael. Now, you on the other hand, not so much.
Come on, Devon. Tell us the truth. I know, and don't say we can't handle the truth. You know damn well that you put Jey Uso up to this. You got something cooking here, and you're not fooling me.
Let me ask you a question. If you honestly feel that way, that's great. So if that does ever come into fruition, then I would like for you to show up at this match that supposedly is going to take place. Because the minute you step in that arena, I'm going to have security guards grab you, bring you to the ring, and hit Cody's
Oh my
music,
God. Oh my God. Is he going to wear the nightmare mask too?
and then leave you two in the ring.
Is he going to wear the mask? You know that nightmare mask that he has?
Oh, he's going to wear
Oh,
everything.
okay.
He's going to
Okay.
listen. He's going to wear everything. He's going to wear your ass out. So I'm waiting for that. You ain't getting me mixed up in that.
Oba, help. Help me, Oba.
Nope.
Help.
Nice try. Oh no, 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 no. I'll have I'll have the Bloodline and Brock standing by ringside, so they won't be able, so Oba won't be able to come down and make sure he don't interfere in this match and try to
Listen,
save your
in
ass.
in the words of
That-
Devon Dudley Hughes the first, gotcha. You just admitted that you'll have the Bloodline and Brock, which proves everything that I just said. You just dimed yourself out, Jack. Look at that. You just dimed yourself out.
no, I didn't. I said you weren't listening very well. I said if that was to take place and this crazy notion of yours was to happen, then I would talk to my friends from the Bloodline and Brock. I'm like, listen, if I can get this going, if I can get him to show up at a building because he thinks that this is gonna happen, that'd be great. Because it's just like storytelling 101. It's like the Godfather. You never know who's going to show up in the room to make sure that they get you. And I'm gonna make sure that you're gonna pay for that. You're gonna pay hardly for that. So if that's the case, if that was to ever happen, then yes, I would call my friends to come and make sure that Oba doesn't interfere, and then sit back in that seat with popcorn and watch the
Unbelievable.
massacre take
Unbelievable.
place.
I'm gonna have to form a new four horsemen or something just to take Cody Rhodes out and ruin Devon's day because he's out of control, folks. This man is out of control. He's setting up Oba Femi. He's setting up the Duke. Who knows who he's going to set up next? Bubba, you better watch your back. You know, it might be another aces and eights situation all over again. I don't know. Something's going on with this guy. You know,
You know what? You know what? You just gave me. You know what? You just helped me out here. You're right. You're absolutely right. This might be a time for me to call my friends from the Aces and Eights and bring them back, and maybe drag you behind on a motorcycle, tie you up, and then when you wake up, or when that hood comes off your head, you wake
oh
up in
my
the middle of the
God.
ring.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be a bad idea.
Listen,
That
all
would
your
not
dirt
be a
sheet
bad
buddies would
idea.
celebrate that one. That's the one that they really want. All right. That's the one. All right. Oh my God.
That might be the only time I'd be in their corner.
That's it, right? They might leave you alone after that one.
Listen, I might go to them and make up some shit.
Oh
I'm
my
just
God.
saying.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you. We are too much, boy. We are too much. Listen, before I get myself in any more trouble, what's the best way everyone listening can keep up with you, and also where you're going to be next, man? Because I know you're all over the place with all these fantastic bookings you got going on.
Yeah, I was a little not upset, but not bothered, but I was like, damn, I could have actually um been able to stay. I was in Seattle and I was doing a Comic Con in Seattle. It was great. It was phenomenal. They had over almost 100,000 people on Friday, which was great for a Friday, and they sold out on Saturday, where they had to stop selling tickets, and I had to miss Saturday and Sunday because I had interaction, um, DDA's interaction show to do. So you know, I'm I'm just I'm all over the place. Yes. I wish I could have been there longer in Seattle, but I will be back next year to make that up. But you know, I'll be all over the United States doing autograph signings and things like that. And the next place I'm going to be will be in Georgia. I'm going to be in Georgia, and I'm going to be also in Jacksonville, Florida, this coming weekend. I will be at the Camden Battleground, St. Mary's, Georgia, on June 27th, and then in Jacksonville, Florida, on the 28th for the toy show. That's going to be there. I'm going to be signing autographs, taking pictures. I've got memorabilia I'll be selling, the old school ECW t-shirts along with the hats. I've got new merchandise coming as well, cups, and the jersey that Bubba and I wore at the ECW pay-per-view, and I keep forgetting the name, but it's the infamous one where we went off and nearly started a riot in Ohio, in Dayton, Ohio. Those jerseys will be for sale as well. So come on down and say hello and come get your merchandise. You can
I
also,
love it.
yep, you can also follow me on Testify Devon on Instagram, Testify Devon on Twitter, as well as Facebook. And you can also follow Devon Dudley merch page on Instagram. And whatever you like, you DM us, let us know what you like, and we will get the merchandise to you right away.
And as always, folks, Duke Loves Rasslin on Facebook, on X, Duke Loves Rasslin at gmail.com. Let me know what you think. Send in your questions, your requests. Also, let Oba Femi know that the Duke needs his help because Devon is up to no good with his buddies here. I blame Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes has poisoned his mind. He has turned Devon into the nightmare Devon Dudley. Devon used to be the American Dream. Now he's a nightmare. So we got to fix this. We got to fix this. Okay, we got to fix this, guys. So please help your brother out. That's right. All right,
I
Devon, what do you
also
got for the
I,
word of the
hold on,
week?
hold on. I also will say this. Apparently, Oba knows that we were talking about him on the last show, and I would love to have Oba come on the show and talk about how he would be in the ring with Duke if given the opportunity. I mean, someone as large as him and someone as small as Duke, that interaction, David beat Goliath, but I don't see the repeat of history happening with Oba and the Duke going at it, or Wemby and the Duke. So my hands would be on Wemby taking out Duke, and of course Cody Rhodes taking out the Duke as well. So again, my popcorn is ready. Anybody, the fans, once we find out where this can take place, come join me sitting down front row seat with popcorn. I have extra butter and all of that good stuff, and we can sit there and enjoy it and laugh our asses off to the fullest. So the word of the week is watch Duke get annihilated.
I'm not testifying to that.
Hashtag watch Duke get annihilated.
Strictly for the culture every day. Step in style in your unique way. Patterns and colors so defined. All about the perfect line. Be yourself, let your spirit fly. In this fashion, you'll touch the sky. Strictly for the culture, brand so fine. Dress to impress and show your shine. Strictly for the culture, every day. Step in style in your unique way.
Visit www.strictlyfortheculture.ca.
Backstage whispers and the crowds roar. From matching giants to legends of yore. Devon's wisdom and Duke's keen view. Every episode feels like it's brand new. Devon and the Duke bring the heat. Wrestling tales knock you off your seat. Tune in now, don't you be late. Wrestling podcast never fails.